Hello everybody, my name is Smarty, short for Smarty Reads, and welcome back. Today I'm going to read Chapter 5 of Ch.5 Mallory. It's called An Announcement. Before we begin, make sure you like this video, subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you know when I upload a new video. Also, share this video with your friends and family so they can watch me read as well. Other than that, let's begin. An announcement. Look at his tie, Ariel whispers in a low voice. It's got stars and stripes all over it, says Danielle. I wonder why he's wearing it, says Pamela. Class, please take your seats, says Mr. Knight. I hope everyone had a pleasant weekend and is ready to get to work. Marianne gives me the weekend went by way too fast look. Maybe for her it did, but for me the weekend went by slower than the trip to the dentist when you have to get a tooth filled. All Marianne talked about Saturday night was CeeLo. All Marianne talked about Sunday morning was CeeLo. Sunday afternoon, Marianne invited CeeLo to come over to her house and climb the tree in her backyard, which I know he did because I spent Sunday afternoon watching him climb it from my bedroom window. There's Mallory sitting at her desk thinking about CeeLo and Marianne. Even though I'm usually not so glad when Monday morning arrives, today I am. Class, I have a special announcement to make this morning, says Mr. Knight. He picks up his tie like he's studying it. Can anyone guess why I'm wearing a tie with stars and stripes all over it? Hands go up all over the room. Red, white, and blue are your favorite colors, says Brittany. We're going to make flags in art class, says Zach. We're celebrating the 4th of July a little bit late, says April. Those are all good guesses, says Mr. Knight. Then he writes the words Washington, D.C. on the chalkboard. Class, this semester we will be studying Washington, D.C. and 3 branches of our national government. I twirl my pencil on my desk. Learning about Washington, D.C. and our government sound interesting, but I don't think it counts as a special announcement. I guess what Mr. Knight considers special and what kids consider special are 2 different things. Mr. Knight clears his throat. When we're done studying about Washington, we're going to go to Washington. Joey raises his hand. He has a confused look on his face. Do you mean on a class trip? He asks Mr. Knight. That's exactly what I mean, replies Mr. Knight. When he says that, hands start popping around our classroom like popcorn popping at a movie theater. When are we going to Washington? How are we getting there? How long are we staying? What are we going to do once we're there? Everyone starts talking at once. Marianne leans over to my desk to talk to me. This is going to be fun, she says. CeeLo leans over my desk too, but not to talk to me. I am very happy to be going to the nation's capital, he says to Marianne. And at the top there's CeeLo talking to Marianne and Mallory just in the middle. He says it like he's even happier to be sharing his happiness with Marianne. Marianne says she's happy too. They're the only ones who are happy about our trip to Washington. They're not the only ones who are happy about our trip to Washington. So am I. Even though I'm not so happy about CeeLo telling Marianne how happy he is, I'm still so happy we're going to Washington on a class trip. Mr. Knight claps his hands together. Class, I'm thrilled to see that you're all so excited. We will learn a lot and have a lot of fun too. Now, if you'll all please be quiet, I'll tell you a little bit more about the trip. Then we need to get started with spelling. Everyone is quiet as Mr. Knight tells us all about our trip to Washington. We're going in November. We'll all ride together in a chartered bus. We'll be staying at a hotel. There will be 4 students in each room. One of your parents will be joining us as a chaperone. We'll be in Washington for 4 days. Joey raises his hand. What are we going to do while we're there? That's an excellent question, says Mr. Knight. There are many things in Washington that we're going to study and see. He picks up a piece of chalk and starts writing names of places we will see in Washington. We'll visit Capitol Hill, where our government meets and works. We'll see the White House, where the president lives. We'll tour the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and the Washington Memorial, and the Bureau of Printing and Engraving, where money is printed, and the National Zoo. And last but not least, we'll visit the Smithsonian Institute, which is one of our nation's largest and most famous museums. Just listening to Mr. Knight talk about all the fun stuff we're going to be doing is so exciting. While Mr. Knight tells the class more about the museum we'll be going to, I tear a sheet of paper I tear a little piece of paper off my spelling notebook and write a note to Marianne. Marianne, can you believe we're going to Washington? We're going to have so much fun. We'll have to take matching everything, especially matching pajamas. Do you have flag pajamas? If not, let's get some. Mallory. I fold my note into a little square and start to pass it across my desk to Marianne. But when I do, someone takes it, and that someone is not Marianne. I'll keep that, says Mr. Knight. He slips my note into his shirt pocket. Mallory, I'd like you to get out your list of classroom rules, he says to me. He waits while I take the sheet of paper he gave us on the first day of school out of my notebook. What is rule number 4? He asks. My face feels hot as I start reading. Everyone in my class is looking at one thing, and that one thing is me. Do not waste my time or yours, I say softly. Mr. Knight nods. Do you think note passing is a good use of your time or mine? My classroom is so quiet you could hear someone whisper from across the school. I want to explain to Mr. Knight that I got so excited about the trip that I didn't think about the rules. But I know that's not what he's waiting to hear. No, I say, I don't think note passing is a good use of my time or yours. Nor do I, says Mr. Knight. He gives me a stern look. Then he tells the class to take out our spelling books. While we work on our list of spelling words, my brain keeps thinking about Mr. Knight's list of rules. I can't believe I've only been in 4th grade 1 week and 1 day, and I've already broken 4 of them. I try not to think about the rules I've broken, but during recess, math, lunch, history, and science, that's the main thing my brain seems to be thinking about. Before the bell rings at the end of the day, Mr. Knight says he has other announcements to make. Are we going on 2 trips? Asks April. Mr. Knight smiles. This announcement is not quite as exciting as the one this morning, but I hope it is something that you'll enjoy. Mr. Knight writes the word poetry on the board. Class, we're going to begin our study of poetry. We'll be reading poems in class and writing some of our own poems. Pamela raises her hand. When are we writing our first poem? She asks. Excellent question, says Mr. Knight. Your first poem will be due this Friday. We're all going to be writing a poem about a famous American. Mr. Knight looks at the clock. It's time to finish for today, but we'll talk about this assignment over the next few days. When the bell rings, everyone grabs their backpacks to leave. As I start to go, Mr. Knight stops me. Mallory, may I see you at my desk, please? I take a deep breath. I know what he wants to see me about, and I know I'm not going to like what he has to say. I feel like someone should give me a t-shirt that says rule breaker. Marianne gives me an I'll be right outside the door if you need me look. I walk over to Mr. Knight's desk. When I get there, he gives me back the note I wrote this morning. Mallory, I take my list of class rules very seriously, and I'd like you to as well. Now I know that a trip to Washington is very exciting, but it is no excuse to break the rules. Do you understand? I nod my head that I do. Good, Mr. Knight gives me an encouraging look. From now on, I'm certain we won't have any more problems. I shake my head that we won't have any more problems. Here's the problem I'm having. I never meant to cause a problem in the first place, and I sure hope I manage not to cause any more. That's the end of that chapter. I'll see you next time when I read Teacher Trouble. Bye, everyone.